Nice.
We're back at Crystal Cove. It's been a while. They just cleared the area for fishing. Still was a little skeptical about fishing there, but the experts said it was fine, so we gave it a shot. Man, visibility was amazing, about 30 feet. And that clip right before this was pretty much sums up the dive. It was just so super fun to be out there. Visibility was amazing. Shelves of lobster. But I only walked away with one. My dive buddy of mine had 4. Great day for him. But overall, a great dive. We were out there for 3+ hours. That rarely happens in the wintertime for us. Usually it's about an hour and a half, 2 maybe. But it was just such a beautiful day. But the visibility was great. Shelves of lobster. Unfortunately, as you can see by the camera footage, there was some condensation that built up in the GoPro footage, or the GoPro housing, during the dive. So I'm super sad that this great footage is a little hindered, but just kind of forces me to a different format of this video. But I hope you enjoy. I'm going to be narrating in the video when I normally do a little recap without voice. But be sure to stick around or fast forward to the end of the video. We do a lobster mozzarella, just a big broiled lobster, some lobster sliders, and we do have a little special edition of bluefin tuna that we get to eat at the end. But stick around. I hope you enjoy this video, and thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoy this content. And without further ado, let's get in the water.
Alright, we're at Crystal Cove. It's been a minute. We haven't dove here in a while, but it just cleared for fishing just recently, I think this past weekend. But yeah, we've been looking for oil. It's apparently clear. I don't see any major signs. Still a little skeptical, but the experts say it's clear. So we're gonna give it a shot. It's gonna be some lobster diving today. Crystal Cove, it looks absolutely flat, as you can see. What I mean by flat is there's no apparent surge, at least from here. So visibility looks promising. The surf looks maybe half a foot, if anything. I would say flat pretty much, but seems like a good day. It's a bit chilly, but let's see how it goes. Before I head into the water, I'll spin my goggles. Rub it in. I'll try to get to a place where there's not as much sand in the water. I'll wait for a swell to come in. In this case, there's not much, which is great. I'll rinse it off, then I'll put it on and get ready for a dive.
So if you've watched any of my other videos, what I would normally do is put on the fins after I pass the surf zone or get deep enough into the water. But in this case, you'll notice I'm pedaling backwards, entering the water. I normally do this only when it's sandy and I know there's no major obstructions in the surf zone. It's just a little more convenient to do this. You can still go out, walk up to a certain point where it gets deep enough and then put on your fins. But when it's pretty sandy, I just choose to back up into it. So you saw my dive buddy over there. What we normally do when we find these huge honey holes is we try to attack both sides or cover the entire cave when possible to heighten the chances that one of us will catch one. So that's what we're doing here. So as I'm exploring this shelf, I noticed this lobster wedged between 2 rocks, and it looks like it tried to get away from something and it got stuck between these 2 rock, or this crack here. And what I'm doing here is trying to wiggle it out. So I go from the tail, I go from the head, I try to pull it out from the head side first, but I'm noticing it's not moving much. So I try to wiggle it and encourage it to pop out on the rear side. And here's me wiggling the tail, and I finally get the tail, get a firm grip, and I pull it out.
It took a while.
So this is an interesting one. I had one shot at this lobster. I noticed that it was just in front of a cave, and I knew if it shot back in there, I wasn't getting it. So I just committed and I just lunged at it. So as I'm going up, I'm actually pointing down to my dive buddy, and he shoots down into that cave so he can hopefully grab him. So I go about measuring the lobster I just caught and I lunge for, and it's a clicker, like right there. And you can see my buddy's coming up.
Nice short. Hey, do you see the big one in there, in the back?
Look over to the left.
Oh, that's a good hole.
Right?
So we measure my buddy's lobster, and it's a keeper. It's a really nice size, actually. So just out of fun and frustration, I just actually let my lobster go in a funny way.
Nice. Let's go down. Tag team. We're gonna pinch and try to catch the lobster. Let's do it.
It's pretty tough to see, but this is the largest honey hole that we saw. So we actually teamed up, went down. I went from the left side. You can see all the antennas right there. I'm just trying to grab one. And the couple that I do grab are way too small. Let them go. You can see my buddy over there attacking from the other side. But ended up not grabbing any legal ones or any ones even close to clickers. So headed up, and then you can see that lobster there floating away. And you can see my buddy coming up. Looks like he grabbed one, so let's check it out.
Pretty close.
So I do find another honey hole. This one is packed with lobster. Again, unfortunately with the camera you can't see as many, but there's a ton in this hole, and I just start reaching in. They're all in there pretty deep, so I just start committing. I dig my hand deep in there, and I do grab one lobster. It's actually tucked way in the back, and I got it to pin behind a rock and then pull it out, but unfortunately it is a little too small, so I just let it go.
All right, we just wrapped up our dive. Pretty good dive today. As you can see, we got 5 lobsters here. We got a pretty nice one here, caught by a dive buddy of mine. If you take a look, but it just molted. How you can tell is it's really soft on the shell. If you look up close, you can see if I pinch it, you can see the shell giving in. So that means it's probably just molted compared to the other guys, a little harder. But this is a really nice size. But we caught 5. Really good conditions today. Visibility probably in the 20s. Surf pretty much 0. But super excited. Look at this nice guy right here.
It's a nice spiny, California Spiney Lobster. But trying to figure out what to do with these in terms of eating. Once we figure that out, I'm sure it'll be really good. But yeah, so really good dive, and I'll cook them up. Cool. All right, guys, we just got back from a dive. It was really awesome. Caught some lobsters here. We do only have 4 here. I know in the video we had 5, but this is the biggest guy here, the guy that was molting. Check that out. Look at that tail. Some nice meat on these guys. What we're gonna do, oh, let me back up. We actually gave one of our buddies a lobster in exchange for some bluefin tuna. He went out last night. Thank you, Tony. He caught some 2 pretty decent sized bluefin. This is not all of it, but we have some bluefin here. We're gonna sashimi some, and then we're gonna grill some collars to go along with our lobsters. So what we're gonna do with the lobsters is, you can see the spread here. We're actually gonna butterfly one. We're gonna do a kind of grill and then melt cheese on top for another. And then lastly, we're gonna make some like lobster roll sliders. So we have this, mayo, lemon, butter, and mozzarella cheese. We have some olive oil and salt and pepper and stuff. We're gonna make a little slider combo with that. So we have 4 lobsters here. Super excited to cook. So we have some sashimi, we have the lobsters, and it's gonna be a great time, and I'm super excited. Unfortunately, my underwater GoPro footage didn't work out so well, so hopefully this makes up for it. But yeah, so let's get started. So this guy we're gonna cut in half and then put him on the grill. Still alive. So what we're gonna do is dispatch the lobster, go between the mouth. I'm gonna go ahead and dispatch it first. Then once it's dispatched, cut it in half. Perfecto. So once we have it cut in half, what we're gonna do is first remove the poop trail. Right there, we don't want that. And then we're gonna go ahead and cook this guy up like this, and then put some cheese on top, and then melt some mozzarella. But before we do that, what we're gonna do is add some butter into the meat, so when it goes into the oven, it gets that nice flavor from the butter. And why not add butter to everything, because it tastes better. We're gonna add a little bit here, keep it moist, get that flavor in there, so when it has that cheese, it'll just taste that much better. So now we're gonna stick it into the oven. There. We're gonna bake it. Usually we put this over a grill, but we're not gonna set up an entire grill just for one lobster. So we're gonna bake it, cook some cheese over it with a torch. So we just wrapped up. I think it's done baking. Again, we would normally put this on the grill, but we don't want to cook it all the way through yet. We're going to go ahead and take it out, and then we're going to let it sit. And as it's still heated, it's going to keep cooking. And then we're going to go ahead and melt some cheese on top of it. That looks tasty. So next step is actually pulling out the most of the tail meat and some of the body meat. I'm gonna chop it up into chunks, throw it back in the tail or the shell, and then what we're gonna do is put some cheese on top and then melt it. So while we're pulling out the meat with the cheese on it, it comes in nice chunks very easily compared to just leaving the tail meat in there. So to start this recipe, it's going to be really simple, but we're going to have to separate the tail from the head. And to do that, we're going to cut around the top of the tail. And then what we're going to do is twist, and that should easily separate the head from the tail. And once you do that, you want to make sure you take out that poop trail before you do any sort of cooking with the lobster. All right, so this is the largest lobster. What we're going to do is broil it. Right now, dive buddy of mine is cutting the swimmers and then cut right on top of the shell in half. We're gonna push the meat out and then broil the lobster, similar to what you see at a surf and turf type of plated dish at a steakhouse or something like that. We're gonna do that with this guy right here. This is the molt, bigger shell. This is the tail of this guy right here. Right. So once we detach the meat from the bottom, go and separate it out and have it lay on top of the shell. So you broil it like that. Isn't that pretty? So now that we've taken out the meat, what we're gonna do is put some butter right in the middle, get some nice flavor in there. Not that it needs too much, but we're gonna go ahead and place the meat on top of the shell, throw it in the oven, broil it, and then we're gonna baste it one time, pull it out, put some more butter if needed, and then pull it out, and it should be ready to go. And this is one of the most beautiful presentations, I think, of lobster, in my opinion. Just tuck out the broiled lobster tail. Oof, look at that. It's really good. As we're doing so, we have some pan-fried bluefin tuna collar being finished up. We got some bits done here. All right, so next up, what we're gonna do is prepare the lobster rolls. So the meat inside of the rolls. I just know what ingredients need to go in. I don't necessarily know how much, so we're just gonna play it by ear and see how it goes. It's lobster, right? Can't be that wrong. We'll see how that goes. So I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze this. Squeeze some lemons. So what I'm doing is squeezing this into a pot like this. I'm gonna add the lobster, olive oil, salt, pepper, some mayo, and then should be good to go. All right, so I just added some olive oil. I don't know if you could see that. There's oil in there. Lemons. I'm gonna add our mayo. Just got some generic mayonnaise. And again, this is for the inside of the lobster rolls. So the substance of that, what makes a lobster roll a lobster roll. Be generous here. Put some mayo in. I'm gonna start with this for now. Add the lobsters, or add the lobster tail, and then adjust the ratios accordingly. All right, so for this lobster, what we're gonna do is use this for the lobster rolls. So what we're gonna do is just bake the tail. A buddy of mine is actually gonna use the heads to make a lobster stock out of, so we're gonna save him that. But let's go ahead and cut out the tail. This guy's already dispatched. Around, underneath. Twist, and pull, nice meat there. And all we're gonna do is actually just bake it like this, and then we're gonna pull the meat out, cook it about halfway. Oh, we're gonna take out the poop line too. But after, we're gonna cook it halfway, make like a lobster roll. I don't know, the inside of the lobster roll with some mayo, lemon, olive oil, salt, pepper, and then should go nicely with our Hawaiian rolls. So let's get cooking. So this guy again, we're gonna use for the lobster rolls. So this is just the tail right there. And we're gonna go ahead and cook this halfway, pull it out, and then we're gonna cook it the rest of the way with the mayo, lemon, olive oil, salt, pepper. Let's stick that guy in there. Now we're gonna grab this lobster tail and we're gonna start pulling the meat off of it. There we go. All right, so we have our lobster tail here. I put it under ice. The idea was just like an egg, after you cook it, you put it on rapid cooling, that it would separate from the shell. We'll see if that theory actually works, but the meat doesn't need to be necessarily clean because it's gonna be cubed and diced into our lobster rolls. Beautiful. Oh man, this lobster tail. I think we took it out just in time. Seems like the theory worked. Shell's coming off nicely. That lobster tail right there. Check that out. If it focuses, there we go. Look at that. So we're gonna go ahead and separate this from the shell. The remaining bits, we're gonna pull some of that out here. I'm just gonna go ahead and cube this up. And then we're gonna add this into our little mix. Beautiful lobster tail, California Spiney Lobster. 5-star ingredients, half-star chef. So I just added the lobster into that mix that we had. It was just some olive oil, some lime, salt. I need to add some salt and pepper to this mixture. We're gonna heat it so it's warm. And then we're gonna add it into our Hawaiian rolls. I think I might have added too much mayo. All right, you can see here we have it on low heat. I added the mayo, lemon, olive oil, salt and pepper. I think I added a little too much mayo. Try to take some out, but we'll try to see how it goes. I'm gonna add a little bit of butter, and then we're gonna add this to our lobster rolls with our Hawaiian bread. So we cut the Hawaiian bread in half, and we got a little crazy with the mozzarella since we had so much, so we just might as well put some on top. And as we're putting the meat down on the lobster sliders, hopefully that melts the cheese, and if it doesn't, stick around and you'll figure out how we go about heating this up a little bit. All right, what we're gonna do now is cut up some of the bluefin tuna that we got from Tony. I'm not a sushi chef, but I'm assuming we wanna cut that out. I'm just gonna go ahead and do what I think is right, so. So we're ready to dig in. What we have here is the half lobster that's been kept warm. We put some mozzarella cheese on top and we are torching it so we can have a nice melted layer on top of that lobster meat. We have lobster rolls, we have a lobster tail, and of course on the side, no big deal, but we have some bluefin sashimi and a bluefin collar to top it all off.
Actually really juicy.
I think we expected it to be way worse. I thought if it was cheesier, it would be good. Need more cheese.
More cheese.
The lobster actually isn't overcooked, in my opinion.
Pretty tasty. Let's try some of this bluefin. Let's grill some excess bits. Try the sliders. What'd you think?
Solid.
Solid?
Solid.
Alright. It's our first run through. I think we could definitely do better. But Yeah, lobster mozzarella cheese. Got our bluefin collar. Some bluefin bits, slider. Of course, just a straight raw.
Wow.
Or not raw, but just pure lobster tail.
That's
Some
meaty.
bluefin sashimi.
This meaty boy.
And we're gonna go ahead and enjoy this. And with that being said, thanks for watching this episode.
Bye.
Dive Spear Eat. We're gonna go ahead and enjoy this lobster feast. And we'll see you on the next one.
Ooh.
Thank you if you stuck around all the way to this part of the video. I would really appreciate it. If you liked what you see, you can support me by hitting that subscribe button. But let me know what you think of this new format. I don't know if it's gonna be here for long. I would love to hear any suggestions or comments in the comments below. I try to answer every single one. But again, thank you for watching.